Yes, hello.
Hello. I'm really sorry about the previous.
No,
I'm not sure what happened. I just
no,
reconnected
technical
the line.
difficulties. My apologies as well.
But it's
So
great to
glad we
have you
could.
here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm very excited. This is wonderful.
Yeah, sure. We're just gonna wait just a couple minutes just to get everyone settled in, and then we're gonna be starting the live officially.
Wonderful.
Ali, you're kind of pixelated. Do you am I appearing pixelated to you or
You're not, no.
oh so I'm not sure if it's the same for our viewers as well.
Let's see. Is my audio okay? Or is it
Yeah,
just the video?
yeah, your audio is pretty okay. I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, all right. Wonderful. Welcome. I'm pixelated. Oh, let's see. Let's see where I can. We're like near a mountain range, so it's probably not ideal.
So I don't think that's gonna be a problem, really. It's fine. It's really no issue.
Okay.
Thank you so much for being here. Today we're gonna be covering the Find Your Anchor boxes, suicide prevention, and getting to know the founder of Find Your Anchor, Ali Borowski, who has also generously provided me with one of the boxes. So I'm really excited to talk about that. A few words about myself and my own organization. I'm an intern working at Connect OC. Connect OC is a coalition dedicated to increasing accessibility to mental health services for Orange County transitional age youth, young adults, TA/YA, and their families by networking them to local community mental health resources. Find out more at connectoc-connectoc.org. Sorry. The Connect OC Coalition is funded by the Orange County Healthcare Agency, Behavioral Health Services, Prevention and Intervention through the Mental Health Services Act slash Proposition 63. Just a quick note, we are not mental health professionals. Our focus today is to introduce to a fantastic mental health resource. But if anyone has any questions that are perhaps a little bit more clinical and would benefit from the advice of a mental health professional, we strongly encourage you to visit connectoc.org for more resources. If you or a loved one are in crisis, we encourage you to call 911. So that's that. Ali, welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Happy to
sure.
be here.
Pleasure to have you here. Tell us about who you are. We're just gonna get you introduced to the audience.
Yeah, my name's Ali Borowski. I am the founder and CEO of Find Your Anchor. I am also a rugby player. I am a Philadelphia Eagles fan, and just all about just good vibes and putting love into the world.
So that's wonderful.
I've
Absolutely.
I've been in Orange County, lived here a little over 2 years now, migrated from Chicago, was in Chicago for about 10 years, but originally born and raised in Philly, right outside of Philly.
That's fantastic. Hmm. So we're just gonna get started. I've been reading your portfolio for a while, your bio, and I, it seems that you've got a really impressive portfolio as a graphic designer across many institutions. Was it something that you've always wanted to do, and have you tied that into your current projects in any way?
Yeah, absolutely. So, first of all, no, it was not what I intended to do. I originally went to school for pre-med. I was 2.5 years pre-med before I discovered graphic design. An advisor saw my organic 2 chemistry notes one day and was like, have you ever looked into graphic design? And, went into it later that night, like just researched and fell in love and, ended up transferring to the Art Institute. And, I think my mom has just now recovered from that shift, but I absolutely love what I do. And all of the building blocks from, making that switch, it was like it was what I was meant to do because each opportunity led to the next thing and just happening very organically and just kind of one thing at a time. Like my advice, would be like treat everything as if it's your big break because it just might be. What starts as like an internship turned into, 4 years with the NHL, and working closely with, on the Winter Classic and Stadium Series. So it's cool to see how certain small decisions, made such a great impact later down the line.
Yeah, definitely. I can't imagine how that journey must have been, you know? You can barely understand when you're starting out how you're going to end up. So, yeah, that's amazing. Now
Absolutely.
yeah, about something that you said as well, you're a rugby player.
Yes, I
So
am.
that's fantastic. I mean, how did you get started with that as well?
I mean, I've always been, an athlete and played a number of different sports. I played soccer, since I could walk and played in college. And, when I transferred to the Art Institute, there's not a sports team, so I was really missing that piece of my life. And I was actually waiting for a therapy appointment, and I was in Chicago in a Caribou Coffee, and in walks in a girl with a broken arm and a rugby shirt on, and naturally we just start talking, and she's like, you look like, you'd be a great rugby player, and you should come out to practice, in 2 days. And so I went home, Googled rugby, and went out, fell in love, met my best friends. That year we went on to win a national championship, and, never looked back. Just having that community is incredible.
Hmm. Definitely. I can imagine. Yeah. I mean, I tried rugby once. Not my cup of tea. Not my
No,
cup of tea. Um,
yeah.
but it's amazing.
It's cool because there's a position for everyone. Like it really encourages, every body type. There is a specific position for you that is valued and needed. And even the camaraderie between opposing players or opposing teams, like it's after the game, it's one giant like social, and it's cool. It's unlike any other sports community I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
And emphasizing too, like the physical aspect, and especially with your mental health, in sometimes doing something physical just to get out of my head. It's sometimes I would just dwell or just, ruminate on something. So when it was rugby practice, I didn't have time. Like I literally couldn't focus on it anymore. For the next 2, 3 hours, this is what I'm focusing on, and I can't think of anything else. So it's so crucial, I think, to have things physical to kind of just get out of your body if you're able. And even if it's taking a hot shower, just something to physically change your perspective.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, in my personal case, I don't play sports very often anymore, but I used to before the outbreak and so. But the gyms have really helped me, especially your point that you raised about your physical abilities are very much tied with your mental health. That has really helped me personally. So yeah, I can
Yeah.
really sympathize.
even just going outside, I would make it a point, working from home or just really with COVID and being stuck at home to be able to just walk outside and get some fresh air. There were days I'm like, oh my gosh, what was the weather like? I don't even think I went outside today. And I started to feel that way on me. And, my partner Morgan and I were like, let's just go for our walk. It doesn't have to be long, just getting out and is huge for your mental health and just breathing in some fresh air.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree. Um, it's undoubtable that, your background has shaped you into the person that you are right now. How did you implement that into your Find Your Anchor movement?
Yeah, I think a lot of it just stemmed from lived experience. I went through the hospital system of, in the psych realm. I survived multiple suicide attempts, and just having been through it, I just felt like a statistic. I felt like I was a barcode, and it was so corporate, and nothing felt personal about it, from start to finish. And I just saw this need, this lack, and I thought, if no one else is going to create it, I couldn't find anything, that I wanted. And so I thought, I'm going to create it, using it almost as like a senior project in design school, and just running with it. Really just going through the lens of um, creativity and a personal touch. Just would color be so horrible to bring into the mental health space? Like, I know it's cheaper to just have it on a white piece of paper. I know it's cheaper not to print it front and back, but it's about the experience. Like, I'm all about, like, I'm an experiential designer, like with events and just everything, that it just naturally, in thinking through it, I designed it to feel like a conversation, just going through the box, almost as if someone's sitting with you and going through it with you.
Yeah, I can understand. And speaking of going through the boxes, the box itself is really wonderful looking. I mean, I can imagine that did you implement your graphic design skills into designing the logo and the box itself?
Yes, I designed everything. I wrote everything. It's all my photography. It is all a piece of me.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. That's truly amazing. And
Thank you.
before we get into the actual contents of the box itself, um, we're just gonna list down the addresses of the locations that we have actually sent these boxes to. For our viewers, these are the New Alternatives, an organization that works with foster youth, Jack's Surfboards in Huntington Beach, and Monkey Business Cafe in Fullerton. So if any of you are interested in picking up one of these boxes and exploring them by yourself, please feel free to go to one of these locations and picking one up for yourself. It's truly amazing. It really is. So without further ado, let's open the box and see what's in it. A little pseudo unboxing video.
Yes. Perfect.
So there is a resource pamphlet, sort of, that highlights the hotline numbers and where you can talk to with people online if you want to get someone to talk to, have a little bit of conversation, because conversation is undoubtedly one of the most important things in preventing suicide and self-harm. So
Absolutely. Well, and also in just, we get a lot of questions of, well, how do people know about the box, or what to do with it? And once you open the box, immediately it says, this is for you. If you're feeling lost, hopeless, suicidal, this is for you. If not, please leave it for someone else in need. So just right off the bat, kind of setting the stage of who this box is intended for. But yeah, I don't know. Do you want to keep walking through the pieces, or I can, whatever's.
Yeah,
Best for you.
definitely. It really is a nifty box. It really is. I mean, it's sort of like a loot crate. You know, loot crates?
Yes, I do.
It's really,
Yep.
it's really something.
It's all about just something tangible, something real to hold in your hands in a world of like digital resources. Yes, they're phenomenal. Yes, they're, for some people, but as a graphic designer, I'm print forever. So I love to be able to pull something, off of a shelf or grab it and hold it physically in my hands when I need it. Almost just like object permanence. Just knowing that it's there sometimes is enough. So in a digital era, I feel like there's something powerful in the tangible.
Hmm. Yeah, I completely understand your point. So do you mind going through the contents of the box yourself and explaining the significance of it?
Absolutely. So next we've got a deck, 52 plus reasons to live. Inside, all different types of anchors, um, just anchor inspiration. We can go through a few. So an unexpected friend, falling in love with a city, crispy egg rolls, a new chapter, a smile from a stranger, taking the scenic route, finding justice.
Hmm.
It's a good one. Long weekends. And I mean, there's just tons. I think of it just as like an inspiration. Sometimes it's hard to think of anchors, but here's a list of a bunch to get you started. And there's something really powerful in going through and listing what your anchors are. And again, they don't have to be groundbreaking or profound. Really, they can just be anything that bring you joy. So that in those moments of darkness, uh, being able to grab onto them or you know have them when you need them to get through those moments.
Hmm. I think my
So
favorite
there,
ones. Oh, I'm sorry.
no,
I think my favorite
what
one's this one. Like, this is absolutely defeating boredom.
yes, absolutely. I love it. I always love hearing what cards people gravitate towards. We do a lot of workshops, and one of the things when we're building them, or even just back, in the warehouse when we're making the boxes, we'll often just put our favorite card, you know, at that time on top. So just giving a little extra love and attention to little details. We're all about little details.
Yeah.
So then there's a bracelet. You are so incredibly loved.
Yep.
We've got a sticker.
Hmm.
We've
Yeah.
got a list of resources, and there's two. So we encourage people once they're, in a better spot, keep the box as long as you like. When you're in a better spot, add to it things that helped you or things that were an anchor for you, and then launch it for someone else in need, almost like a pay it forward sort of thing. And there's something really powerful in sitting with that and making that decision for yourself and to acknowledge, I'm in a better space, I don't need this anymore. But we always say, hold on to it as long as you need, it can be yours forever. But there's also something really incredible in just launching it and putting it into the world. There are so many times where, even the first box I launched into the world, it was in a self-help section of the library at the Gale Borden Library in Elgin, Illinois. And I I dwelled for, what felt like 45 minutes on which shelf I was going to put it on. I'm like, was this one too low? Most people are taller than me. Should I put it up higher? And I was like agonizing on where to put it. And there was just this feeling of just trust that it gets there. And so I put it there. I start walking. I'm like, should I, keep an eye on it? Should I, maybe I should just move it over a little bit. And I was just like, just trust it, and so I left and just trusted that it got where it needed to be. Like 2 weeks later, I get an email from this girl that said, I found the box and I just started crying when I opened it. You must have saved hundreds of lives by now. And that was my first box ever into the world. And it's just really powerful. We have over 17,000 boxes in the world now. I don't know 17,000 stories, it's just hoping and trusting that they're doing what they need to do. And it's really incredible to hear the impact, because so much of it is just kind of blind faith. But the more love we can put into the world, the better. So we put all of that to say, we put two resources in, so that when we launch the box, you can leave one and hold on to one when you need it. And again, as I mentioned, how it's meant to feel like a conversation, the resources up top say, you have in your hand a list of resources. Hold it up and put it in your pocket. Keep it just in case. You have at your fingertips people who want to help you. So throughout, it just kind of is this little narrator. If you want it in, Morgan Freeman's voice, phenomenal. But just someone out there that cares. So same two business cards, just for a way to, find more. There's an infographic on depression and suicide. I've found it helpful to know that I'm not alone, and there's power in knowledge in that. There's a letter to you from a stranger who cares. Pretty heartfelt. It's addressed to the hopeless, the worn out, and the disenchanted.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the poster. You are not weak. And another poster. Change often occurs when we are ready to give up. Shout out to Chicago. And then our latest addition to the box, we've recently partnered with our dear friends at Born This Way Foundation, and we created Please Stay. So Please Stay is an online resource, as well as on the website pleasestay.us. You can print and download. It's a literal pledge to stay. It is a list of resources. It's self-care ideas, soul-filling acts, anchor inspiration, and we have all printed pledges in all of our boxes now. So again, just trying to put more love into the world. We recently just had a billboard in Times Square that said, "This is the sign you've been looking for. Please stay." So just really and truly, this PSA, someone said the website felt like a warm hug, and I was like, yes, that is exactly it. We just want this to feel like a warm hug. I mean, find your anchor, please stay, like all of it, just good vibes. And we're all about this network and community of strangers who care. Like in the height of my darkness, I didn't think anyone would care. I couldn't feel the love and support around me. So I thought if I could create something that showed someone that a stranger cares about you, then maybe it won't be so hard to believe that your friends and family do as well. So just all about this network and community of strangers who care. So at the bottom of the box, it's basically the call to action of, if and when you're ready, how to launch the box, add to it things that helped you, things that were an anchor for you, and launch it into the world or pass it on to a friend. Yeah.
I mean, collectively, the boss, feels like a small guardian angel in a way, right? I mean, It's really amazing what you've actually created here. And regarding the letter that came with it, there's a small line here. You deserve their intervention. You deserve to have people work hard to save you. I mean, that line itself, so many people don't get to hear that throughout their entire lives. And
Mhm.
that truly is an amazing, perspective that, yes, not everything is as bad as you think it is because there are people who are trying to help. And
Mhm.
that's amazing. That truly is. And I think this is indicative of the kind of person that you are, really, that you are
Hi.
trying to, you know, put yourself out there in order to help others, in the wake of the pandemic and everything else that's going around. We truly need something like this. So hats off to you, Ali. I mean, this is amazing.
Thank
It
you
truly.
for very, very kind words. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
I see Blair asked, what are some things that people put in the boxes when they launch them? It's funny because people get really creative and I love it. There was someone that humor was their anchor. So they went through the deck of cards and added googly eyes to a bunch of them and relaunched them, and it was hilarious. We've had people like add a mixtape into the box, uh, you know, handwritten notes, lyrics. It's cool. Someone added like a little bottle of lotion one time to the box, but it's cool, and we encourage people to um, when they relaunch the box, each box is numbered. So it's like this built-in tracking if you want it or if it's there. And we said we launched box 6,222 on this bridge in San Diego, and we'll have people reach out and they're like, my son and I are going on a scavenger hunt to go find it. Just like you're launching them around. Like I hope people go because finding one in the wild is pretty cool. And as you said, we've heard from people that find them organically that it feels like this divine intervention, that I was meant to find this box, which is really cool.
Mhm. I mean, I can imagine that these boxes are traveling far more than we are doing in the wake of the pandemic. I mean, we're stuck at home and these boxes are trekking across half of America. I mean, that's a pretty good story. You can.
Yeah. Well, pre-COVID, I mean, we were already at, we have boxes in every state and in over 36 countries. So it's cool. I also like a call to all the people on here today too. If you're going on a trip or you're traveling anywhere in a post-COVID world, reach out and get a box because we love, just sharing them. We launched one on a fish statue in Amsterdam. So just really anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah, it's almost like I can imagine like graffiti. I mean, you've got one product and you've got others contributing to that art. In I think this is pretty common in murals across the world where people add their own brushstrokes and their own lyrics and so on. And this is, a small part, a small, product of that mindset. And I think
Yeah,
it's good people sharing what their thoughts and their feelings and their actions in this box.
yeah, I love it.
So for our viewers, I'm just going to repeat the list of locations, their addresses, so that you can go and pick one of these boxes up for yourself. And then if you wish to pass them along to your friends, families, or anyone or any stranger. So the locations are New Alternatives at both their Santa Ana and Tustin locations, Jack's Surfboards in Huntington Beach, and Monkey Business Cafe in Fullerton. So there's that. And all of you can go and ask for these boxes and you're provided with one.
I
So
love it.
mhm. I'm
So
pretty
cool.
sure you're gonna enjoy this box. True. I mean, I am. I really am. And I think I've got some plans to, design them and send them off to some of my friends. And let's see. This is amazing.
Thank you so much.
Mhm. Yeah. And I highly
Yeah.
encourage others to do it as well. We really need something like this, especially now. So from our viewers, are there any questions that you'd like to ask? Anything that you want to know more about? Please feel free.
I also want to add too that, anchors don't have to be this profound thing. I always talk about the last time I was hospitalized, my anchors in that time were having a decent pen to write with, having an extra pickle at lunch, and having a clean pair of underwear. I mean, certainly that is not a profound like those are not life-changing things. But in those moments, like of a very dark time, that's what brought me joy. And that's like just what brightened it, even just the slightest. And so I just want to emphasize too for everyone that they really no judgment on your anchors, really. And they can change by the day, the minute, and then you have your consistence. So
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, understandably, what gives you happiness is not really, fixed. It doesn't have to be life changing. I mean, it's the small things that count, as always. And, and what you're doing right now is pretty indicative of that. I mean, I appreciate your story and what you've come up with. That's amazing.
thank you. I saw one. How have your boxes evolved since your first box? Funny you should ask. Um, a lot. At first, our boxes, all right, so for example, right now it's all printed on. Before, this used to be a piece of computer paper with a printed anchor logo, and I would cut a circle, and then I would glue stick it onto the box. And then this was also a piece of computer paper that I would cut out and glue stick on. Same for the bottom. The deck of cards came as like a 12 by 15 pieces of cardstock that we would cut out individual cards. This came flat. We would origami the box template together. And I mean that was the first 300 boxes in the world. And I mean, even up until recently, that's only in the last year or so. So I mean, when I say grassroots, like it is truly our community. Our rugby team, like bless their hearts in Chicago, would come over on the weekends and we'd have brunch, and watch Disney movies while we made boxes. So they are all handmade with love. We add a handwritten note to each of the individual boxes that we send into the world. So just a personal touch. There's something powerful in a handwritten note with your name on it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I used to write letters back in high school instead of, you know, and a handwritten note, it's just something different. Apart from texting or maybe calling
Yeah.
on the phone, a note, that's a labor of love in some way.
Mm-hmm. You can grab and reread over and over again. It's like a gift that keeps on giving. I have stacks of like letters or cards, and if I'm struggling, just rereading them, they're just reinforcing that. And the authenticity in it too. I may be, you know, alone on this one, but when I receive handwritten things, like not necessarily from a friend, but like just in the mail or whatever, I check to feel the back. Like I want to feel the indentation of the pen pressing on the paper and just feeling that like personal touch. And for someone struggling or just the power of the little thing, something so small like that and such a simple idea can really have a profound impact on just that connection.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, connection is what matters right now. I mean, we need it now more than ever. So, and I really thank you again for, coming up with something in order to justify creating that connection more amongst friends, families, or even strangers. That's amazing.
Absolutely.
Mhm. So are there, to our viewers, are there any questions that you'd like to ask? Any further info that you'd like to receive? Anything you'd like to know more about? Please write in the comments. We're just going to wait a couple minutes just to let you get your questions.
I see one from Amanda. Hello, Amanda. Any other decks planned? That's actually something in the works in the what seems like the ever-growing to-do list. We would love to start making like expansion packs, for lack of a better word, of just even more reasons to live, and having them curated, maybe for like a pride pack and it being queer focused, or like a pet pack and with animal lovers, or a sports or athlete. um, Really just kind of thinking of just, I mean, there are so many reasons to live. There are endless anchors. So really just thinking and brainstorming ways to get more of them out and into the world. I see another one. What inspired you to do the deck of cards? Um, it it really started once I kind of grasped onto this idea of anchors, and realizing that anchors are everywhere, and you just have to start looking for them. I I one of my constant anchors is Home Alone 2 Lost in New York. It has always, looking back, it's been my anchor since I was like 10 years old, right? Like it's always been my anchor. I didn't have the vocabulary to say, that it was my anchor. But it's always been something that if I'm having a bad day, or if I need to smile, or just anything, I can throw that movie on and I can just kind of let go, or just dive in and quote the movie for an hour and a half. So just I know that people have anchors if they just start, listing them out. And I encourage all of you to list out some anchors after this. It's cool to see and see how they change. And you know, in my think of them when you don't necessarily need them. If in the height of my darkness, if someone were like, tell me some things that bring you joy, I'm like, nothing brings me joy right now. It's hard to think of those things in that moment sometimes. So equipping yourself with that when, if down the road you need them.
Mhm. I really like that comment by Amanda. Certain films are anchors. Yeah, to your
Mhm.
point, Home Alone 2, that's an amazing film.
I
Justify
agree.
it has to be.
But even like just how they evolve and change, for a while, at the start of the pandemic, like that video of Italy singing on their balcony, like that was my anchor. I just watched that video over and over again, just in this uncertain moment, something completely unrelated, just seeing like humanity was just awesome. And I feel like as a society, we long for those moments and the connection, and seeing that like genuine like authenticity of people and the good in people. Something really phenomenal in doing this work is meeting so many good people, in the mental health space, and just also want to just put love into the world is so it gives me a lot of hope.
Yeah, it gives me a lot of hope too. I mean, this is an amazing medium for people to try and put their own love into the world. And And I really hope that you're able to continue doing this project because it is really amazing. And so the best of luck to you, truly.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the plan. Just more love, more boxes equals more people reached. It's pretty cool. And in the not so distant future, we're gonna be at over 20,000 people and boxes. And it's so easy sometimes to just get caught up in we have to make boxes and but really focusing on and taking a step back, and these boxes are going to people. Like 17,000 boxes, yes, but that's 17,000 people initially reached, and that's like surreal. Like I can't even process 20,000. Like I think the United Center holds about 20,000 people. So to think of the United Center filled with and everyone holding a Find Your Anchor box, like that's to put a visual to that, and to just remember, even for me, just the lot, like the reach that I may never know the full impact. But if one life is saved doing this, if one person is reached through this conversation, the whole hour is worth, like it's all worth it, for to reach one person. And that's why we continue to do this and will continue.
Mhm. I sincerely hope you do. Thank you, Ali, so much for joining us today. And thank you to all of our viewers as well for joining us and having this conversation. Thank
It
you
was my,
from the bottom of my heart. So I
thank you.
guess we will end this today. Uh, Best of luck to you again in continuing this
Thank you.
project and your future projects as well. And
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining. You can learn more at findyouranchor.us, and enjoy the rest of your week.
mhm, yeah,
Thank you so much. This was a pleasure.
yeah, likewise. Bye.